So I just wanted to talk about a few things. I wanted to run by, disagree with what I was saying. Whether you're quick, um, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Um, right, first person in, put a comment in the comment box so that we can know that there's people in here. Um, like, share, subscribe. I said hit the super chat. All right, so in my community tab, I shared a video of TYT covering a company called Yieldstar and them pretty much using the algorithm and stuff to yield better profits for apartment complexes, and they're renting out different places. And the original clip they use it's in Miami, of course, and it's a company that hiked up the rent on in their complex by some two times, or over double if I'm not mistaken, because the algorithm said that they could make more profit, right, and they could raise rent more than twice. I mean, more than double, and you know, still make a profit. Now, here's the interesting thing, right? And this is where I get into my conversation about the 80/20 rule. This is where I start saying things that you guys have heard me say before, where these people are rejiggering the economy to work for essentially the top 20% and no one else. And what is interesting is Anna on TYT mentions that, these big ivory towers, these huge apartment complexes are going up in these apartment complexes are going up in LA. And it's interesting. Oh, what's going on, Toya? Toya's here. Victor Creed's here. What's going on? I couldn't see you guys comment because I clicked on a different button and it didn't show me you guys comment. Anyway, okay. So like Anna was saying, Anna Kasparian from TYT, she was wondering who's able to afford these expensive luxury apartments in LA. And now this particular segment, her doing the research on this segment, she understands now. It's because, and going back to what I was saying before, these people realize they have squeezed the wealth out of the bottom 80%. And so what they're doing is they're rejiggering the economy for the top 20%. Those apartment complexes, they have the rent so high, and they know that most people can afford it. So it's so high so that the people that can afford it, right, cover the price for the people that cannot. So yes, what that also means for those of you that mean like that hear what I'm saying. Yeah, a lot of those apartments have a lot of vacant apartments, right? Those apartment complexes have a lot of vacant apartments, right? So let's say you live in an apartment complex, it's $1,500 for a 1-1, right? If you're super lucky, where I don't know where this exists, but it's $1,500 for a 2-2, which I don't know where. That's not the extreme hood where it's $1,500 for a 2-2. But okay, let's say that's a thing. And then this company comes through, talks to your landlord, says they can raise the rent and promise like a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% increase year over year on growth, or at least that initial year on growth. And your landlord says, fine, let's you know what, let's try it. And by the way, the landlord has the ability to turn down these things. But what they found is 90% of the time the landlord actually goes with the suggestion from the algorithm. And your landlord comes to you and says, by the way, we have this new thing and it's going to raise the rent up to $3,000. Now we all know if you're barely making that $1,500 a month, you cannot afford $3,000. But there might be a few people in your apartment complex that can. And guess what? It has already factored in that those people can. So when the masses of you move out, the few that can't afford it pay your rent also, or what would have been your rent if you would have stayed. Yeah, yeah, that's where we are now. By the way, this might be some antitrust problems because what they're doing is they're basing the rent also off of the price of different other spaces in the area. So it's almost causing this anti-competition thing. And guess what? That's illegal. You know, so what's interesting is it's seeming like we are now using the algorithm, or we are now allowing big tech to recreate old injustices and inequalities we thought we fought and won a century ago or decades ago, right? But now that big tech is getting involved and it seems like there's no human interaction on their end, right? Or no human action on their end, it's as if we are like accepting of what's going on, right? When they're really just recreating old. And this is like we're dealing with spikes in rents, right? We're dealing with labor shortage. We're dealing with all of these things that we thought we fought against. And when I say we, I mean Americans in general, right? Westerners. We thought we fought against and won a century ago. Definitely decades ago, 4 and 5 and 6 decades ago, 7 decades ago, and apparently not, right? What this also shows us is that these victories are not permanent. You have to continue to fight these battles over and over again. You fight it today, and yeah, you win today, and then you might have to fight that battle again in 15, 20, 30 years, right? Or your children will have to fight it again and hopefully win again. And then it goes away for a few years, maybe a decade or so, and then the people in the background are plotting, the uber wealthy are plotting, and then you and your children and your grandchildren will have to fight it again in 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Once again, then it goes away, and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren got to fight it again, right? These victories aren't permanent, obviously. We also saw this with the gutting of the voter rights acts, right? As technology comes in, it just recreates the injustices and inequalities. If you can hike up rent double in a year, especially in the South, we don't have the price control laws and stuff like that, like the Northeast does, or maybe like Chicago, or maybe places in the northern Midwest, maybe LA, and certain places in California. In the South, we don't have those things. And so these people could literally come in and your rent could be $1,500, $1,800, and they could spike that thing up the next go around, $2,500, $2,800. And if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But the few people that can are now paying your old rent and their new price of rent. And then some. What is also interesting is that somebody was interviewed from this particular company, Yieldstar, and they were actually speaking about empathy like it's a bad thing. And for business, it kind of is a bad thing, right? But think about like what you're hearing more and more from these CEOs is them getting off on squeezing people and backing people into a corner. This is also how you get the interview with the Uber CEO, and them speaking about how the labor market is right now and how horrible it is and how pressed people are for cash and how that's great for their potential employee pool. Oh, I'm sorry, I said employee. Uber doesn't count you as an employee. You're a private contractor, right? And this was something that the Obama administration worked up so that they can lower the unemployment numbers, knowing that the job market is crap. But guess what? You can go work this little piece of crap gig job and I can then put you as employed. Right? That's how they were able to kind of re-rig the employment numbers. What it's seeming like, if anybody disagree, y'all can let me know in the comments, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Super chats will be read out loud. What it's seeming like is that these big tech companies are using their technology to be callous. And like I said, to just recreate all the things that people fought against decades ago, right? That's what it's seeming like. These big tech companies, and because somewhere in our mind we almost forget that these people have sentient beings on the other end of the operating system, right? These are human beings that are creating the algorithm and that's putting it into action. We kind of look at these things like they're coming from God or something like that, right? Or these things have no flaws, or they can't cause issues in our current environment, in our system, right? And what is interesting is in the commercial for Yieldsstar, or in the commercial for one of those companies, they used a black woman to advertise this. And it hit me instantly. Mammies of Empire, girl boss feminism. And how many, if you know as a white man, you are the face of injustice, even if you personally maybe not necessarily did anything wrong as a 40-year-old business owner or as a 45-year-old, but you know people always look at you a little sideways, especially in America, because everybody knows that when you bend a corner, injustice is coming with you, right? Insane, unchecked capitalism is coming with you, callousness is coming with you, violence is coming with you, right? BS excuses for the violence and the callous business practices are coming with you. But America has also put this a particular group of people and used them as the face of morality, even if they don't believe it, and that face is black women, then guess what you're going to do as a business owner? Especially when we live in this time of, like, intersectionality, and this person is black and they're a woman, and so it that what that equals, or what that indicates, is some type of moral superiority because of the multiple oppressions that they supposedly went through because they are black and they're a woman, and maybe even LGBTQ, right? And so like I said, when I saw the little advert and I saw it was a black woman presenting, and she might have been Afro-Latina, she kind of somewhat has a racially ambiguous look to her a little bit, but she looked like a black woman for the most part. All I thought was Mammies of Empire. And you could expand Mammies of Empire out to more than just black women, maybe some Latina women, right? But namely black women. And if Mammies of Empire is too offensive, just white racist society, primarily white men, using girl boss feminism to obscure their insane practices, their injustices, right? Using girl boss feminism painted black to push this insanity, because we're less likely to push it, or we're less likely to question these things if it's a black woman that's doing these things, right? So that's what we are with when it comes to rent in this country. So you got different complexes colluding low key, but because it's the algorithm that's fishing, because it's the algorithm that's doing so. Let me be very clear what's going on. It's not like this landlord is talking to that landlord and saying, oh, you got your rent prices there, all right, I'm gonna put my rent prices similar, and then we're not gonna compete. It's not that. That's super illegal, by the way. What is going on is that the algorithm is finding that, oh, okay, this person is able to charge this much in rent, so we're going to push your price a little bit around that, right? The algorithm is doing that. So but it's still colluding, by the way. You're just using the algorithm and technology to do it, right? So it's almost it's drone-like. And Anna was right. It's drone behavior. And for those of you that understand what I mean by drone, I don't mean like the mindless behavior of human beings drone. I mean drone as in the drones that drop bombs overseas on people, right? And it doesn't feel the same. You don't have that same visceral feeling because all you're doing is you're behind a controller pressing a button, right? As comparison to being a helicopter pilot and being way closer to the ground to do it, or maybe even being a soldier on the ground and doing it, right? But the algorithm doing it is still super illegal, and I'm wondering if the military is going to eventually I said the military, I'm sorry, I was using military analogy, and that's why I did that. I'm wondering if the government is going to catch up to this thing eventually because they're taking forever. And maybe it's because we have a bunch of old, crusty, not even boomers like BGS and Black Uru, but we have a bunch of like old boomers and maybe even a couple of silent generation in Congress, and they're so slow to react to these things. And let's be honest, they might be being chipped off behind the scenes to allow these things to happen. Right? So let me run through the points again. We are now using the algorithm, or we are now allowing big tech to recreate injustices and inequalities that we fought over that we fought decades ago, if not a century ago. This also shows us that these victories that we thought were permanent are not permanent. You have to have these battles over and over again, right? Big tech, these big tech companies are using their technology to be callous. These businesses are colluding. They're just using the algorithm to do it, right? And that's super illegal, by the way. These people are being caught in interviews. And when I say caught, I'm still saying that wrong, because it's not caught if you knowingly say it and nobody's sneaking to like record you. It's not like you're being recorded in secret. You're saying this with your chest out, right? So caught is still not the right word. But these companies are being recorded, I guess, saying, or being documented as saying things like they're speaking about empathy like it's a bad thing. And I guess in business it is, right? But think about business owners or businessmen already thinking like that and feeling like that, and now you gave them, this algorithm to play with where they don't even have to be the people really pressing the buttons. And now the landlords, right, can use the algorithm as an excuse for why they're now being callous. Because and the reason why this is a point that I brought up is what they found is some of the smaller landlords, they were working with people during COVID. They knew that people were losing their jobs. They knew that people were being furloughed or whatever around the country. So they were working with people. Like, you know what? I understand you've been living with me for a few years. You know what? I'll drop your rent half, right? We'll work something out, right? Or I'll give you 3 months, or you could pay, if you're furloughed, you could pay all your rent, when you get back to work. Or you know what, just pay me one time instead of, now you owe me $4,500 for 3 months. Just pay me $3,000, or just pay me 25, and we'll call bygones bygones. And what the algorithm is doing is saying, yeah, you're being way too human, right? Now screw that. What we're really gonna do, if that person owe you $4,500, kick them out. We're about to get $4,500 a month from one person instead of $1,500 a month, right? Something insane like that, But that's the game. That's the game, right? And the last point I wanted to make is, shout out to Edward Anderson, brother called me the black woman social worker, and he is correct. And this is me appealing to black women to be careful what you wish for, because these people are using you as the fall guy, or fall woman in this case, but you only see opportunity. Why are you bringing that up, Mr. Z? Because the woman on the advert at least looked like a black woman to me. She was somewhat racially ambiguous. And I'm reminded of Dr. Sharice Burden-Stelly, a black woman, speaking to Jackie Lukeman, another black woman, about how black women are being positioned as the mammies of empire. And they were speaking about another black woman, a young black woman, and that was the young lady that gave the speech or the poem during Biden inauguration, the young lady that had the yellow kind of jacket on. And what they found is that she kind of seeked out that position. She wanted to be, and that's why I caution black women. Y'all want Miss Ann's position so bad. Do you really know what you're signing up for? You want Karen's position. You want Becky's position so bad. Do you understand what you're signing up for? And what you're giving up for that? Right? I know some of you don't care. Some of you think you don't care until the ish hits the fan. And we can't really predict how bad, or maybe not how bad, ish hitting the fan looks like when the once or the former supposed moral superior being in America gets reduced to being the white man's lackey. Right? Gets reduced to being the face or the mascot of empire. Right? And when I say empire, we understand we're usually speaking about nations and whatnot, but I'm expanding that out to not only include, like, military conquest and, taking over and seizing land or taking over resources. I'm also expanding that out to say, how many of these companies have black women as their HR? How many of these companies have black women as their spokespeople? How many of these companies have black women as their kind of liaison or to the outside world? Because they're weaponizing intersectionality, and they're weaponizing much of certain black women's ignorance because they want this money and they want this position so bad. They're weaponizing these things, and let's be honest, these women are going along with it, so we're not even going to pretend like that's not a thing. They're weaponizing, like I said, they're weaponizing intersectionality to essentially turn black women into the face and the mammies of empire. They're using girl boss feminism, right? And girl boss feminism was weaponized from the jump. It was already a negative for women in large, not the particular women that got to eat off of that. But by and large, it was white men using white women and other women to tell other women, your real issue is not our sexism and racism. Your real issue is that you're not standing up for yourself. You're not speaking with authority. This is where Sheryl Sandberg comes in, right? Lean in. That's why so many women poo-pooed and dismissed what she was saying. Right? But how many of you also see how you are being weaponized for rich white elite, probably racist men, to enact their Gordon Gekko greed is good worldview on the rest of us, just with a black woman's face as the advertisement, right? So once again, I'm cautioning black women because there are going to be people that hear me, and you're really not gonna understand where I'm going, or you're gonna be like, let those women rot. Well, these women are still connected to you. So some of this is residually gonna fall on black men. Black men have not cleaved our image away from black women. These particular black women, we haven't cleaved away from them enough for the residuals not to fall on us also, because these particular mammies of empire are out here going, just trying to sign up to any one of these companies that's going to use them as the face of inequality and injustice and unchecked capitalism and neoliberalism. You name it, right? You name the negativity, right? So that's the original segment. Let's touch on something else. The women are catfighting, and no, I'm not talking about Chantel and Courtney. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about the divester queens and the black women in luxury and the Paris Milan is out here beefing with Cynthia G, or Cynthia G is beefing with Paris Milan, right? about who used the term dusty first and blah blah blah, right? The neo-Nazis are fighting each other. They go through it like this about once a year. Two of them or four of them get into it. This is about a once a year, once every 9 months type of thing for them, right? They got into the argument about who used the term dusty first and who brought the term dusty into their lexicon, right? And apparently they were laughing at Paris Milan because apparently Paris Milan is engaged and people doubt it. Shout, brother, if let's say you're a brother, let's say you're a black man, and I'm assuming it might actually be a black man. Wow. Wow. Either you don't know what Paris Milan is getting into on the internet, or you do know and you think you're the exception to her rhetoric. Whoever you are, if you're a black man, a part of me feels like it's probably not an ADOS man. It might be like an African brother or a Nigerian cat. Shout out to you, nigga, thinking you're gonna be the exception to her because you think you the alpha and you think I'm a man. I'm nothing like these dusty niggas that she'd be talking about. Shout out. All right. All right. You heard it here first. You've been warned, right? I'm thinking about Coach Greg Adams and Hafiz's conversation, right? You've been warned. All y'all niggas, and it's a young man thing. I get it. You look at the old heads and you're like, nigga, I ain't gonna be like you. I ain't gonna fall through whatever you went through. Shit, I'm wiser than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm better than you. What's the clip? My dick bigger. I'm faster. My bitch better. Da 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 da. Right? And these young men really think that, and I get that. I was in my mid-20s. I was in my early 20s at one point. Right? You look at the old heads. You're like, nah, I'm wiser than that. I'm stronger than that. I'm faster than that. Right? I'm better than that. I'm not gonna fall for the same trap. And so let's assume, Paris Milan's not BSing. She's really engaged and is probably a black man. Bruh. I'm not for telling people not to go off and live happily ever after. But, hey, you see what your woman is into on these interwebs. You see, this woman really wants to change up her content a little bit and focus on more luxury type lifestyle, right? Let me say this also to black women. This woman probably made $1 million because she did 1 million views or 1 million subscribers, something like that, within her first year. Y'all made this woman rich off of your anger and rage and sadness and loneliness. To the point where now she could switch up her content because she got the seed money off of your anger. She started a beauty line off of your anger, off of your sadness, off of your loneliness, and she monetized it. She didn't try to talk about larger societal forces. Y'all let the angry airhead, y'all let the sassy airhead make what, hundreds of thousands of dollars probably? Off of your sadness, your anger, your rage, your loneliness. Right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? And to the brother, bruh, I ain't gonna tell you what to do. That's not my place. I don't know you. I really don't know her outside of her internet personality. Bruh, you've been warned. All of you that keep on marrying or engaging or dating these women that their internet personality is this. You could tell me whatever. Oh, she's not like that in real life. Okay, cool, whatever. I don't believe it, but cool. You've been warned. You already see at least an aspect of her on the interwebs. You already see a portion of what she could become on the internet. Paris Milan over here not using profanity, but using profanity. What the F? I don't believe in that S. Bruh, the message is still conveyed, by the way. Yeah, you might have your grandma who might be on the same neo-Nazi stuff listening to you, so that's why you're not using profanity. The message is still conveyed. Speaking is about messages. It's about conveying a message. If you're not using that's much of the argument with white people saying the N word, right? And saying it like the word I said, N word. You're still conveying the message, right? It still doesn't make you a classy person, Paris. You're still rude as hell, Paris. You're still callous as hell, Paris. You're still sassy as hell, Paris. You still get off with being petty, Paris. So not using profanity doesn't automatically make you classy. You're still an asshole, Paris. Right? So now Paris and Cynthia G, lightweight neo-Nazi, heavyweight neo-Nazi when it comes to black men. Right? Now they're beefing about different things, and Paris is trying not to go in on Cynthia G being a baby mama, while low-key going in on Cynthia G being a baby mama. Right? What y'all beefing about? Both of y'all believe that black men ain't ish, but that's the only unifying thing. What you realize, and let me say this, what you realize about all of them, from Chrissy to Paris to Cynthia G, to divested zealot, from lighter weight neo-Nazi to heavyweight neo-Nazi. There's only one thing. These people would not like being around each other. There's only one thing they agree with. Black men ain't ish. That's their unifying cry. That's their unifying hymn. These people are not like, the only thing they really have in common is believing that. Right? That's the only thing. There's no real policies. You know, right now in the Black Manosphere, we're having conversation about policies and politics and what these politicians are going to do for us and blah, blah, blah. These women don't have the conversation. I'm listening to their pages, bro, their videos. They don't have none of that conversation. None. They're not talking about social issues. They're not talking about politics. They're not talking about current event outside of the pop culture realm, or what black man said some colorist thing today, right? Or what black man is getting divorced from his non-black wife. Ha 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 ha. Right? They're five chuckles, right? Or what black woman who's married to a black man is getting divorced, and I told you, even when they got money, they're still dusty. That's the only thing. These women are not speaking about nothing bigger. That's why they get sideswiped by all the issues going on in the world. And then look for a man, probably a black man, to save them, even after they just finished talking crap about you 2 seconds ago. Right? These women ain't talking about nothing, bro. And now they're beefing about who came up with the term dusty first, who came up with this word first, who's being real authentic, who's the one who switched up for the money. Both of y'all switched up for the money, Paris. Both of y'all came in the door playing Afrocentric and I'm about black people, and both of y'all, when that algorithm hit and showed y'all the yellow brick road to money, right? The streets paved in gold for money. All you got to do is follow the algorithm to neo-Nazi land, anti-black land. That's what both of y'all did. Both of you did that. Who's being disingenuous? Who's being more genuine? Neither one of you. Answer. There you go. Paris, you're the one who said, well, I don't want to, whichever one of those supremely neo-Nazi divestors, you and Chrissy were beefing with them, you know, This is a business. You know, we live in a capitalist society. Da, 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 da. Translation, I'm doing this for the money. And all of you black women that heard Paris say that, y'all didn't, a light bulb didn't go off in your mind? You didn't figure out what she was saying? She's enraging y'all and giving y'all rage porn content for her profit. Every other video is, this black girl has gone missing and there was a suspicious black man that was in a car next to her that was 30 million miles away from her. It's probably him. All Paris give y'all is that type of content on this channel. Now she got a different channel with makeup and whatever luxury stuff she's gonna be selling soon. So let me get this right. The rich, uber wealthy white guys, the investors, are like, hey, women are gonna be single as crap over the next 15, 20 years. We gotta start putting things into place to make money off of these single, lonely women. And Paris is doing the same thing. Paris is like, yo, I gotta start selling these lonely ass women on luxury stuff and a lifestyle that most of them will not be able to live, but at least they can live vicariously through the handful of us that will be living that lifestyle. While they're telling themselves and telling everybody else on the interwebs what they're not gonna settle for. I'm a content creator too. I got a super small channel. You can ask my subscribers. Notice I don't call them followers because many of my subscribers are more educated than me, smarter than me, more accomplished than me. But I don't give them rage porn content all the time. And we talk about larger forces, economic, social, political forces, both within the US and outside of it. I literally just spent the beginning of my stream speaking about these colluding ass companies. Right? Recreating housing injustices that people fought decades ago. Right? People are doing research. They're seeing, some 40-something% of women are single. Are going to be by 2030. Right? These young people are not having kids. They're not having children. Guess what? All that supposed extra cash that she got, or we could have her spend it on these nice things because we know she's depressed. She's going to pretend like she's not, but we know she is. And that's me I'm going to be ducktailing into something else in a minute, speaking on that. Right? So yeah, Paris Milan and Cynthia G are beefing. Eventually, they probably patch it up like they usually do. These people usually fight once a year, maybe once every 9 months. They'll patch it up eventually. Both of y'all are some neo-Nazi, anti-black man advocates. Y'all claim y'all advocate for black women. Really, y'all advocate against black men. Paris Milan was the one that said, these women hate black men more than they love black women. That's you too. Like I said, shout out to whatever brother it is. Most likely brother. Most likely black man who got a ring on your finger and he think he's going to be the exception to the rule. All right. Paris is not ugly. She got lips for days. I get it. But nigga, you win and not if, because the way Paris speak, it's a win and not if. When you find unless Paris is like Cardi B and she talking all this crap on wax, but she really not living that life at home, there's a possibility, a very slim possibility, but a possibility that that's who Paris Milan is. She talking all this crap, she's enraging her subscribers and followers on the internet, but when she's with whatever dude she's with, probably a black man, she's nothing like that. And she's a doting girlfriend. It's a possibility. I highly doubt it, but it's a possibility. Right? Unless she's like that. But most likely she's not. So, brother, you see what Paris Milan is doing to get money, and you think you're not going to find yourself on the wrong side of that eventually? Right? You think you're not going to find yourself on the wrong side of that eventually? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, you guys. Super chats will be read out loud. You think so? I don't know. I don't know. Right? So yeah, the neo-Nazis are fighting again, right? Both of them are calling each other disingenuous. Both of them are essentially saying you switched up for the money. Both of y'all switched up for the money. Both of y'all. Both of y'all came in the door on some pro-black stuff. Both of y'all claim y'all found y'all way and now y'all only about pro-black women. While y'all spew y'all neo-Nazi BS crap about black men, while claiming you're really advocating for black women. Like Paris Milan said herself, y'all hate black men more than y'all love black women. And clearly, definitely, it's true for Cynthia G, and it's definitely true for Paris Milan, even though she's the one who said it. Because, Paris, if you're making money off of black women's loneliness, their feeling of insecurity, their feeling of rage and anger and resentment, if you're making money off of that, and all the thing you got to prescribe them is be vigilant and open up your options. That's the only answers you really got for them. And don't fall for these dusties. And too many of y'all find Paris Milan literally had a stream about how black women are over glorifying certain black men who really aren't that attractive, but black women are so black male identified that they're claiming all of these black men are attractive just because they're black men. You know how petty and weird you gotta be as a black woman to say, black woman, you're only finding that black man attractive because he's a black man. Do you understand how weird that sounds? That's why I call her the sassy airhead. The angry airhead. And then one of you brothers actually put a ring on her finger. I'm assuming it's a black man. But it could be a white dude, it could be a Latino dude. I'm assuming it's a black man, and based off of some of the things she said in the past about Africans, I'm assuming it's an African brother. Possibly a Nigerian. But you know you can't tell Nigerian niggas nothing. All them niggas think they too alpha to fall for what black Americans be falling for. And if you're a Nigerian brother and you think that's me taking a shot, that's me taking a shot. I done ran into too many African brothers, specifically Nigerian brothers, who think y'all are way too... I don't use racism as an excuse. We got our women in check. All right. Y'all don't got y'all Americanized daughters in check, though. They all over academia and talking a whole lot of crap about black men while getting piped down by some white dude. I done came across way too many African brothers, specifically Nigerian brothers, who think you're beyond this BS while living in the US. So, once again, we don't know. We're just assuming. Yes, assuming makes an ass out of people. So I might look like an ass in a minute. My point will still stand largely though. Right? But whoever's engaged with Paris Milan right now, good luck. That doesn't mean it's going to end or whatever. That doesn't mean that. But bruh, you've seen what she's on the internet. I don't know if you ever seen her Patreon, her YouTube channel. But you see what she could be. I'm not saying you're not receiving a different aspect of her. But that line is thin as hell, player. And you could find yourself on the wrong side of that line. And it's not even your fault. You see what she's capable of. You see how she speaks. Right? And especially if you're African, brother, and I'm basing that off of some of the stuff that Paris herself has said. And let's be very clear. And let me say this to all the African cats that live in California in particular. Those ADOS women, they just see y'all as a come up. All you are is a walking wallet to them. I just want y'all to be clear. I done caught too many black women, and that includes black women from the Caribbean, speaking about African men, like pretty much, yes, y'all are black men, but they look at y'all as y'all don't really know the game and y'all got a whole lot of money. So you just a big ass lick. And when Paris was years ago, when she was bragging about how she don't date ADOS men, she prefer African men because she wants a black man, right? She boiled black men, black African men, particularly Nigerian men, into walking wallets. By the way, this is also why a lot of swirlers, divestors want to date particularly white men, because they think white men don't know the game and they're big, dumb, ignorant, upper middle class and rich men. So the come up is you're a simp with some money and you don't really know women. Right? A simp with some money that really don't know women. So that's how certain Nigerian brothers are being taken by not just ADOS women, but other black women in the diaspora. Or FBA women, for those of us that don't like the term ADOS. FBA/ADOS women. Right? And that's how a lot of, not so much Latino men, but white men in particular are also taken or understood by black women. Ignorant, dumb lames who think they've merited their way into being respected and cherished by women. Have fun in divorce court. That's all I'll say. Have fun in divorce court. Shout out to Oliver the Gray for the super sticker. Right? I remember years and years and years ago, this was during the housing recession, and it was knocking a lot of people on their rear end. And there was this, I want to say swirler couple, and I must tell you why I particularly call it a swirler couple. It's not just because she's a black woman and he's a white man. But I want to say either ABC or MSNBC, one of these, bigger news networks covered this. And it was a black woman that was married to a white man. And, he lost his job. And apparently he was pretty good. He had things stable, but he lost his job and he was struggling to find another job. And they were interviewing her. And she essentially said, almost verbatim, but she essentially said, I don't really see him as a man anymore because he's struggling and, he doesn't, And this is a black woman talking about her white husband. So shout out to all you white dudes. Like I tried to give that warning to that white dude that had popped up on Art New Style stream months ago. A lot of y'all think yes, you're a white man in a white racist society, in a white anti-black society. Yes. And some of these women want to get down with you just because you're a white man, and they'll deal with more of your BS than they'll deal with a black man BS or a Latino man or an Asian man's BS. That's true. But don't ever forget what you are to these women. You're a walking wallet. And the second your money go down, you disabused her of the delusion of you being the magical, mythical, omniscient, omnipotent white man. And she's out. Or she's going to make your life a living hell. Right? Shout out to Joe's for the super sticker. Right? Okay, this is not a super sticker or a super chat, but I got to read it because it's funny. Spainman said, God is dead. Right? And there's stories like that. Right? There's a couple of white dudes with some horror stories. Yeah, they be making black women go through it. But there's some of them with horror stories of dating black women who thought he was supposed to be like Superman. And when she realized he's extra regular average white dude, she put him through it. Because you don't have the luxury of being regular. There's some black women that do that. Now, let's be honest. Most of them, they'll deal with a regular ass white dude just because he's a white dude. But for some of them, they really think the status and the money is attached to that white skin. And when they realize, nah, that's just a regular white dude, they're pissed. Right? Okay, Oliver the Gray. Let me read that. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I know it's all right. So, closing out this segment, the neo-Nazi divester chicks, even if they themselves, and it's interesting because doesn't Cynthia G claim to be with a black man? And now Paris Milan is claiming to be engaged, and I'm putting that out there. I'm not saying she did. And maybe she did, I just haven't seen that particular stream or video. But Paris Milan is most likely with a black man also. So let's be very clear to all of these people's subscribers. These women are making money off of your sadness and your loneliness and your anger and your rage. And they're building the black families that you wish you had. But instead of you listening to black men and how to build those families, you're listening to these women who are making you even more insufferable, who are enraging you even more, which means eventually you'll never have that. Because believe it or not, men have intuition too, and we could smell the rage, the resentment, and the anger on you. And if you're not dealing with one of these under 25 super horny black boys and young men, then we won't even have the oops baby with you. We won't even see you pretty enough to risk it. So y'all continue to listen to the Paris Milans. Just like I just had this segment about the algorithm, y'all continue to let the algorithm tell them to make more enraging content, then they make more enraging content, and then the algorithm points you into that direction, and you become more enraged, more incensed, more spiteful, more angry. Then you go out here in the real world, and black men can smell it on you. And we stay away. So you are either giving them super chats or super stickers, or even just by you viewing, they're making little pennies here and there. They're making money off of your anger, while they go out in the sunset and live their happy lives with their spouses. Right? So that's my warning to all these black women. And my warning to whoever that man is, probably black man, probably African or African descent. All right, nigga, you think you're going to alpha your way out of Paris Milan's retardedness? You see how she's making money. Yeah, she says she wants to, and I think she already has the channel, start speaking about black women and luxury stuff more and more. But you essentially, let me make this my final statement. You essentially are engaged to a drug dealer. Ooh, I wasn't supposed to say that. What were drug dealers doing? They were pushing poison to their people, right? Isn't that one of our biggest gripe with drug dealers? They were pushing poison to their people. Their seed money for a lot of these rappers that used to sell dope. Isn't that one of our gripes? Is their seed money was pushing poison to their people? What is Paris Milan and Cynthia G and them doing? What are they doing? Maybe y'all don't have the language for it, or maybe y'all are not thinking divergently about these things. These people are pushing poison to black women. These are black women pushing poisonous thoughts to black women, to other black women. And they're using that seed money to expand out into different endeavors. There you go. Right? There you go. So they are pushing dope. Mental, psychological, emotional dope. And then they're using that money to go live fabulous lives. And their only answer to black women who are living miserable lives is expand your options and date out. Don't fall for these dusties. And like Lexus Exodus is now saying, don't fall for these snow dusties, or what she said, powdered dusties. That is a great point. That might be something that we need to start pushing in the black manosphere. Hey, gotta make sure he's viewed his fiance's content. That, hear ye. Before you take a chick seriously, not only should you go through her phone and see if she's, flirting with some other dudes or whatever, check her social media stuff. See who she subscribed to. See what she follows. That's something that maybe, for relationships, see what she's into. That'll give you an idea of what type of messages she's taking in. That's a really good point, Oliver the Gray. Yes. Yeah. Because let's imagine you talking to a chick, y'all getting serious. What would you do if you click on her YouTube subscriptions and she's subscribed to all of those women? Paris, Cynthia G, Chrissy, right? Lexus Exodus, Mahogany Pink. What would you do if she subscribed to all of them? And I didn't even go all the way in deep. Well, Lexus Exodus is deep into neo-Naziville, right? Divested Zealot, all of those women. What would you do if that's who all of the things she subscribed to? Would y'all break up, or do you think you're gonna alpha your way through her watching all of this content? Right? Because some of us think that, this doesn't apply to me. I'm not one of them niggas. Them niggas is lame. Them niggas is soft. I'm not one of them. And that ain't gonna happen to me. Some of us truly believe that. Some of us truly, we see what these women are subscribed to. If you're Paris's fiance, you see what she's watching, what she not even subscribed to or watching, what she's creating. And you think that shit don't apply to me. All right. You heard it here first. Moving along to someone else. Oh, Stefco. So one of my subscribers sent me this through email. And it's a video of Stefco essentially speaking about feeling isolated. I guess she went on vacation or whatever. She's at the hotel and she's seeing these young families, and she could see that some of these men, she didn't say what the race of man is, but she can see that some of these men are around her age, and she might find them attractive, and then she sees them with 1 or 2 kids, and it makes her feel a bit isolated. Isolated, translation, lonely. It's funny how we use these words to obscure things, right? These euphemisms we use. When she says isolated, lonely. Oh, Stefco is feeling lonely when she goes out and she sees these families and she sees these men being fathers. And she sees these men being husbands and doing their husbandly, fatherly duties. She feels lonely. I'm sorry. Talking about not feeling lonely, guess who that was that just called me? My lady. You want to know why I have a woman? Because I'm not an asshole. I mean, like, I kind of am an asshole, but I'm not an asshole, and I'm kind of likable. Mr. Z is kind of likable. I mean, if you know. And I don't have insane standards, that part too. Or my standards aren't informed from some childhood trauma. Or my standards haven't been informed by some white racist hyper-capitalist in Wall Street or in some boardroom somewhere saying, you know what? I know what we could put in these movies, in these kid movies, in these adult rom-coms. Right? Nah, Ninja Person, that's what I was going to read earlier. Ninja Person was like, Alexa, play Bobby Womack if you think you're lonely now. But it's like, I'm laughing, no, in all seriousness. And BGS is right. I have somewhat of a soft spot for Ostefco, and I don't know why. She done said some insane stuff. She done laughed at Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Now, I would never do anything with her if I met her in real life. But she reminds me of so many young women when I was in college. She reminds me of so many of them. Yes, they might be smart and they might be a bit witty and they even got a certain level of charisma, but at the same time, they're kind of weird and awkward. And then no one can tell them anything about like the way they think or feel about certain things. And so they get stuck in this place and then they slowly enrage themselves, right? And then they get to the place where they tell themselves that they would rather be single, but everybody knows that's not true. And Ostefko's like a perfect example of that. Right? I'm being exposed, you guys. Right? Spade Man said, uh oh, Z's busted. Right? But yeah, so I'll be up in a minute, babe. Right? But yeah, so Ostefko, that's what's interesting about her. Like, she reminds me of women I grew up with. And like when she says, like, you gotta be honest with yourself. And maybe she's being honest with herself and not her subscribers. When you said isolated, Ostefko, call a thing a thing. You felt lonely. Right? Yeah, she knows where to find me. She does. Shout out to Spain Man. Ostefko, just call a thing a thing. You feel lonely. And that's okay, bruh. That's okay. You're single, you don't have any children, you went out, you went, on vacation or whatever, wherever you went, and you're in a hotel and you're seeing families and you're seeing men who are around your age being family men, right? Being fathers, being husbands, and it made you feel a certain way. It made you feel lonely. But instead of you owning that, at least if you made a video about it, instead of you owning that in front of your subscribers, you use a word like isolated, because it softens up the feeling and it's softer. It's a euphemism for lonely. You feel lonely. Right? Oh, it's definitely turbo weather in Florida right now. Shout out to Oliver the Gray. Especially this morning. This morning it was definitely turbo weather. And yes, I did drive the Z. Right? And that to me is sad. And it's sad that she didn't want to own that she felt lonely. She to soften it up even for herself, she said isolated. And what I'm saying to you guys is there are way more women in Ostefko's position, including black women, than we would like to admit. I'm not saying all, I'm not saying most, I'm not saying these women are not out here getting it in. I'm not even saying Ostefko's not out here and she got like some dude that comes by and knocks the cobwebs out. And it could be a white, black, or Latino dude for all we know. Right? I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But I'm saying that there are significant, I'm saying this as a person in his mid-30s. You'll be surprised how many women of that are not ugly, and even some of the maybe not so attractive women, but average looking sisters, some average looking Latinas, some average looking white women, like the poll said, like they haven't had sex in some 2-3 years, some 3-4-5-6 years, right? Y'all remember the clip? I can't remember who covered it, with the Latina that said, she has her parents and her siblings to rely on and that's it. And it's really hitting her and she's in her mid-40s. Right? Shout out to the 18th letter. 18th letter says, Paris Milan, Chrissy, and Lexus Exodus are no different than the April Mason or female dating coaches pimping black women. Hey. They really are pimping black women for money. And I forgot to mention, and side note, this will last maybe 2 minutes. Side note, I did forget to mention when Chrissy was speaking about how nice her apartment is and how, her views and, how she's okay in life right now financially. And in a moment of sadness, she sounded somber and said, yeah, but my dating life is trash. These women are making buku money off of selling their subscribers rage porn, right? Anger porn. And then you find yourself somewhere in between the Paris Milans and Chrissy's, where you have all these nice things, but you're still single. Paris Milan, excuse me, Chrissy. Or you're using this money and you have all these nice things and you're building businesses, right? And you're gonna sell off in the sunset with a spouse while you're still enraging or occasionally enraging, your subscribers. This is why Paris said when she meets new people, she'll tell them she's doing things on social media and she's an internet influencer or social media influencer, but she won't tell. In real life, she will not tell them about her page. She will not give them. Now, she said if they find it, they find it. But so Paris Milan's real name is not Paris Milan, apparently, obviously, right? But she will not tell them her YouTube channel page, of course, which means you not who you putting on the internet. You don't want them to see this part of you on the internet, the people you know in real life. So you're the worst. You and Lexus Exodus are the worst then. Shout out to all of Paris subscribers and followers. You letting the sassy airhead, the angry airhead, I should call her Sir, not, I wanted to say Sir Mix-a-Lot. Let's remix that. Miss Sass-a-Lot, right? Or should we call Real Talk with Yenny Miss Sass-a-Lot? Because Real Talk with Yenny is sassy extreme. I'll decide that later. But yeah, Miss Sass-a-Lot, y'all letting her make money off of y'all anger, sadness, and loneliness. Like I said, and she should sell into the sunset. And then Chrissy just making buku money off of y'all and selling y'all, Regency era, Victorian era, black women in luxury, which is really just white women in luxury painted black. And y'all let them make money off of y'all doing that. All right then. Right? But back to Ostefco. That's sad to me. I am truly sad, and it reminds me of the video I covered months ago with the young sister, the young black woman who was recording herself, and she was crying because she had went to a wedding and she felt lonely later, and she said, she's afraid of she won't be able to have children when she eventually meets, the one. Which is low key what Ostefco said, as she gets older, she's less likely to want to have children because she just doesn't see herself putting the energy in and blah blah blah. And that is sad. And I blame black women for this, and I blame white women for this, and I blame white men for this. I blame white, wealthy, elitist, capitalist men. I blame white feminists. I blame black feminists. And I blame black women's black moms. Now y'all got women who in any other era would have been mothers and wives at this point in their lives, being so indoctrinated, so confused, so bamboozled. Rest in peace, Malcolm X. Been so bamboozled that they kind of want to be mothers, but then they don't want to be mothers at a young age. They don't want to be baby mamas. They want to be wives, but they don't want to adhere to none of their husbands say, right? They want to be independent, but they want to be up under a man, right? You got these women clearing into 30, some of the oldest millennials in their early 40s. They might be stable financially, they might be not, but they're miserable. They want a man, but they don't know how to get along with the man. Some of them are socially awkward. Some of them have very few relationship and dating experience. So even when they're with a man, they really don't know how to kind of get along. They're sassy as hell. They're mean as hell. They're insufferable, right? which lends to them not being really well with men. And now these women are, like I said, getting into their early 40s. They're not even baby mamas. And I'm not, if we're moving away from the era of baby mamaism, I know that's not a word, but Mr. Z be making up words out here. If we're moving away from that, okay, that's actually a really good thing. But then understand what we're also saying. We're also saying in the younger extras kind of led to this. These are the younger extras that didn't get trapped with the drug stuff or whatever. What we're also saying is that these women are going to age into their 50s, their 40s and then their 50s, and they will have never had children. At least someone to love them, and they love they love that person. That person loved them back, right? The somewhat unconditional love between mother and child, child and mother. So not only will you not have the spouse, you won't even have the children. There is a couple of negatives to not having children, even as a baby mama, and I just listed them. Someone to take care of you or look out for you when you're older, especially if you don't have any siblings, or if your siblings are in a similar boat, they're also in their late 30s, early 40s, no children. So that means you're not even gonna have nephews and nieces. That's if you have a sibling. If you don't, then that means no siblings, no nieces and nephews. So when your parents pass, that's it. Maybe you got some cousins. What about if your parents also didn't have children? Or your grandparents also, I'm sorry, your parents also didn't have siblings. And your grandparents also didn't have siblings. It's looking pretty goddamn lonely out here is what I'm saying. Right? Spain man. Ooh, fire. Spain man says, at best, Ostefko is that coworker you'll convince yourself you'll smash because you'll get along and there's nothing finer to look at. In those environments, fives become eights. But even if that's true, yes, even if that's true, a lot of these women have made themselves insufferable. Maybe not Ostefko herself, but a lot of women in her exact particular position or circumstance in life. Like I said, in any other era in human history, so far, these women would be wives and mothers at this point in their life. Especially that sister I covered months ago. Earlier this year, I found her really attractive. Single as a loose leaf paper, crying because she feel lonely. Then there's the light-skinned sister with the braids I think Chantel Monet covered. That was crying because I don't get my name said consistently. There's the Latina who's in her 40s, no kids, not married. And that Latina, she wasn't ugly neither. She was aight, right? There's the sister that recorded herself at her kitchen island. Y'all remember we spoke about this, late last year or early this year. She had come from the club and she was saying her and all her homegirls, men didn't approach them. And she wasn't ugly, she was all right. That's sad. Women, y'all wanted this. Y'all wanted this. The men hear y'all. I'm not dealing with no dusty, no struggle love. Don't walk up to me in the club if you ain't gonna buy me and my friends drinks. Don't. We hear y'all. It took a couple of decades, but we hear y'all. And now we're acting accordingly. And you could also blame your favorite content creators. Yes, Chrissy, Paris Milan, Lexus Exis, Mahogany Pink, right? Cynthia G, right? The men hear y'all. At least y'all still got millennials. Those Gen Z, all right. Gen Z grew up with the internet. They grew up hearing y'all talk crazy. They grew up with Cardi B, with Meg Thee Stallion, with Nicki Minaj. They grew up with their female counterparts, the girls, listening to Paris, listening to Chrissy, listening to Cynthia G. So the women that are in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, like Paris and Chrissy and them, your dating life that's going to be trash, don't dream about those white dudes. Don't even. Your dating life, which is going to be trash, you're probably not going to get married, and it's debatable whether you're going to have children or not. Remember Paris's face. Remember Chrissy's content. Remember Mahogany Pink and Exodus content when you're 40 years old, 45 years old, and you've never been married and you have no children. Remember them. Right? The nameless protagonist. Nameless in here, y'all. No wonder. I knew I seen some smoke bomb go off somewhere. Heard some ruffling and shuffling in some leaves. Right? But the nameless protagonist says, Z, in Japan right now, it's so sad. Now the women have begun marrying their pets. Mind you, in Japan, the wall is 25. You see? You see? That's sad. I know I saw a segment about that in Korea. I watched a bunch of stuff in Korea. I know before Kevin passed, he covered one or two videos about this also happening in Korea also. Once again, see, over here in the Black Manosphere, especially on this side of the Black Manosphere, you see what we talk about? Global. We could see this coming. Nameless, remember, me and Nameless first really connected because we both knew what was going on in Japan. He mentioned it and I started freestyling on it and was like, oh, you seen it too, Z? Yeah, I seen it, Nameless. Yeah, you see what's going on in Japan? That's sad. It's really sad. And I remember telling him, I was telling my friends, my in real life friends, about what was going on in Japan over like a decade ago. And I could foresee that this potentially could happen in the US. Obviously not in the same exact way. We're hypersexual in Japan. In the US. So we'll be talking a whole lot of sex stuff while not doing it. Right? We'll be talking real sexual while not doing it, while not actually engaging in it. Our music will be hypersexual. Our TV shows and commercials and whatnot will be hypersexual, and we won't be living that life. A handful of celebrities will be living that life. Some politicians will be living that life, right? Some business owners and the elite will be living that life, while the masses of us, not so much. All right? That's truly sad. Like we said, we see it going on in Korea. We see it going on in Japan. China's having their laying flat. Like Nameless and BGS said, the Mouse Utopia project. Right? There are ways to stem this, but like the Black Authority said, our politicians are out to lunch. Right? Our corporate sector is salivating off of all the profit they're going to make off of these single women. They're salivating. Morgan Stanley put out that report, 2 years ago now? That memo 2 years ago? Hey, these women are going to be single. Let's make some money off of them. Remember, Morgan Stanley is an investment bank. They don't play around with their money, so that memo wasn't just there just to be there. And now you got Ostefco not being honest with herself and saying that she's lonely. Right? Saying she feels isolated. You feel lonely. And you should. You're 38 years old. You're single. You have no children. It is natural and human to feel lonely. That means you're a human being, Ostefco. Why lie and say you feel isolated? Call a thing a thing. Say you feel lonely. Stop using the euphemism. right? Oh, AB, watch my playback of this. Watch the beginning. I mentioned that. That was the beginning of this is why this is a mashup, right? AB says, yeah, Z, yep, I just found out they're using software to jack up rent prices. Yeah, I covered that earlier. I covered that earlier on this video. Yeah, Spain, man. I watched something about it years and years and years and years ago, but I forgot the name of it, right? I watched this maybe back in, I was like 23, 24 or something like that. So, oh shit, that was over a decade ago, right? And I didn't know the name. So when Nameless brought it back up, and when BGS and Nameless were having that conversation, they mentioned it. I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. And then they told me to look it up, and like within, I don't know, half a second of me watching, I was like, oh yeah, I watched this before. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, AB, yeah, that's the world we're living in, and these people think they got a one-woman army themselves and no dusty. That's why I keep on stressing. Like, I know half of y'all are living at home with your parents, right? And I'm specifically talking about the women. And I'm not even saying that as a pejorative, but I'm saying with these rent prices in major cities, and you got to remember, most black people are metropolitan people. We live in cities, especially those of us outside of the black belt in the South. We live in cities. So you trying to tell me you live in a major city and the rent price is some 2,000, 2,500, $3,000. If you're lucky, $1,500. If you're super lucky, and y'all paying that by yourselves while y'all making some $30,000 a year, right? The Nameless protagonist says, I went into more of this in my hive theory presentation I broke down. Yes, you did. That's frightening to me. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, right? That like the human in me, I'm not joking when I say that's sad. I'm not trying to, placate anyone or, make fun of anyone. It's not to be sarcastic, right? I really mean that that's sad as a human being right now, as a black man. Knowing what's going on, knowing the prices of things, inflation, they said it's some 8, 9%, but it's hitting like it's 20%, right? Knowing these things are happening, and then you hearing people with all of their anger towards the opposite sex because you're not questioning the system, or like Paris Milan said, oh, we live in a capitalist society, and I don't want my page to go down, and da, 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 da. So y'all just going along to get along with the BS in the system, right? Meanwhile, you're living the consequences of it. You're living the consequences of believing what these content creators are talking about. Like I said, while they get to run off and live off in the sunset with all the money they done made off of pissing y'all off, right? De- True indeed. Two comments from damn, three comments, but let me read Nameless's two first. Human beings were not meant to live like this. Facts on facts. Folks need to read or watch Altered Carbon. Yes. Ninja Person says the TikTok of a white dude. Damn, it moved up a little bit. There was of a white dude in ATL who was seemingly living alone in a four floor apartment building. Chinese food leaflets were left in the door, and they stayed in the same place for days. Wow. Wow. Mm. Ninja Person is right. Ninja Person says majority of humans in the West lost sight of intrinsic value versus plus humanity. I would agree. I agree. And that's sad. And tying that to the Ostefco thing, it's sad to see Ostefco feel lonely, or in her words, feel isolated, because she sees, you know, young families enjoying their vacation, and it makes her feel lonely, but in her words, isolated, right? So you have the, I'm gonna spell it out. I don't want to say the word on my channel. You have the INCELS movement. It's not even a movement, just a group of men, and people laugh at them. People laugh at them because they're not having sex. They feel lonely. They truly feel isolated, right? People laugh at them. But then you got women who are pretty much describing a same type of situation, and I, as a black man, feel enough humanity to feel sad for them, and not on some, you know, sarcastic feel sad for them, right? But these same women would laugh at the INCELS, right? Like that white woman I covered um, um, a few months ago that was snarling and thought it was funny. She didn't laugh, but was kind of mocking men, young men, because of the article that came out that said so many men, young men, feel lonely and blah blah blah. And essentially, what that white woman was saying, we've done the work, we've leveled up. Where are the men? Ma'am, you sound like you need therapy. If you're claiming you did the work, I don't see it. Not in this little video you made. Number one. Number two, we keep on assuming that these particular women are more mature and more emotionally intelligent and are better people than their male counterparts, while they jump on the internet and say the most foul things, while they jump on the internet and laugh and make fun of men in their hurt, in their pain, in their sadness, in their loneliness. Yeah, because that's a sign of emotional maturity, right? Oh, Stefko couldn't even bring herself to say that she felt lonely. She said isolated, right? That's the interesting about language, is when you find euphemisms for words, euphemisms for the strong word, right? It's like watering down a drink, right? Oh, you already know, Nameless. You know I made a live about that. Nameless says this is the result of human beings commoditizing their life, relationships, and trading it for the things. Goddamn, my comments keep on moving up. That's why. Trading it for the things you can't buy: family, life, health, and well-being. Nameless. I covered that a few months ago. I got a live about that. I actually kind of want to do it again and put new segments on it, and I might do that again, right? Do a part two, right? I said commodifying with mine though, but yeah, commodify, yes, absolutely, absolutely, right? And with that, we move on to another woman who has no kids and isn't married, Miss Potential Governor of Georgia. It ain't looking good though, Miss Stacey Abrams. And the clip that Tariq Nasheed played on his Twitter, of Stacey Abrams essentially saying abortion rights are human rights, right? Abortion is a way of, working on your finances. Now, let me say this. She's kind of right. Ooh, I wasn't supposed to say that. I'm going to fix it up later, you guys. I'm going to fix it up later. She is kind of right. If we're going to go bare bones money, she's kind of right. And I'm hearing young people that aren't even on some eugenics thing say, yo, I can't afford. As a matter of fact, And I said this to you guys before. Crystal covered this a year ago, maybe even over a year ago. When I say Crystal, I mean Crystal Ball from Breaking Points. She used to be on the Hill with Sagar and Jetty. And now her and Sagar and Jetty kind of struck out on their own, and they have their own channel, and they actually brought in two of the other people from Breaking Points onto their channel. Their 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 segment on Breaking Points is called Counterpoints. Um, but I'm hearing there was actually a I don't know if it was a poll or if it was a study or something like that, and they were talking to young people, and young people, there was a split between people that were looking forward to having a family and having children and those that didn't, and it followed along money and income. So to a certain extent, Stacy's right. Now here's when we get dark. When I heard her say that, right? And shout out to my lady. She's the one who sent it to me. Because she's more heavier on Twitter than I am. I don't really use Twitter. I never have, and I've had Twitter since 2009. Um, but when I heard that, all I heard was radical feminists and eugenics. When I heard Stacey say that, all I heard was radical feminists and eugenics. Now, like I said, if I remove myself from the historical context, she does have a point in like not having money and like knowing you don't have money and you probably won't have money, and then deciding to not have children because you don't want to bring them into a world of struggle. But as a black person, as a black man, if I think about my parents thinking like that, and my grandparents thinking like that, and your grandparents thinking like that, and your parents thinking like that, how many of us would have been born if our parents said, yeah, I don't got no money, I'm not having kids? Right? AB, I'm not even, that's the rumor. That's the rumor. I'm not even going to read it, but that's the rumor, AB. Right? And I saw that. I saw that. Right? But yeah. So, I mean, once again, Nameless and BGS, Mouse Utopia. Right? Calhoun, for real. And what we were saying about the commoditization and commodifying of family and relationships. And I somewhat, this is where I really blame I blame women for this. And I blame some of the brothers that went along with this, and other men, non-black men that went along with this. And y'all thought that alpha language, y'all thought y'all was doing something special with that. Now look, it's not only that your women are putting a price tag on these things. It's that they put in a price tag that the majority of men can't meet on these things. And now they're being serious about it. Now, yes, they're reaping what they sow. Nobody told you to put an I was going to say insatiable, an insane price tag on your vagina. Nobody told you to do that. You decided to do that. Like I told y'all that Corey Holcomb joke, right? I think it was from 2010, the Shaq All-Star game. You know, y'all pricing y'all bucks out the game. And that's just a crass way of saying you're pricing your potential to be in a relationship out the game. You're pricing your femininity out the game. You're pricing your companionship out the game. You're pricing your womb out the game. That's you. That has nothing to do with men. That's you. Right? Shout out to you, Toya. Toya says, I love how much Mr. Z is getting on his channel. keep it up, y'all. Right? And on that note, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? But that's not on men. Look, I have female siblings. I have a niece. I don't want them to end up with a bum. So this is not Mr. Z saying go be a female paymaster for a dude and have him laying up on your couch, right? This is not Mr. Z telling you to end up with a bum. What I am saying is this is on you. You're the one, y'all are the one all over the internet saying no struggle love, calling all type of men dusties, right? That's you ladies. Meanwhile, y'all been single for how long? Y'all haven't had sex in how many years? And be, it's not just the sex. Y'all have been single for so long that has made y'all socially awkward. Y'all don't even know how to connect to men, especially men that are not desperate, right? Shout out to Alan Stranger. Alan Stranger says supporting the real. These are great in-depth and analytical talks. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. I mean that. That's why I said thank you with, so it's heartfelt. Thank you. Because brothers over here, first, most of us would rather be with a black woman. Let's just put that out there. For anyone listening, this is not no anti-hate or hate black women channel. Most of us would rather be with a black woman if we're not already with a black woman, right? Number one. Number two, on this side of the black manosphere, we don't do the whole black women ain't ish, I don't know what the female version of Dusty would be. We don't do that. And we're in relationship with black women, from siblings to loved ones, intimate partners, mothers, aunts. We have brothers in here, and I'm not gonna name them because I don't know if he wanted this to be known too much, who are taking care of their mother and their aunt, right? We got married, bro. Come on, man. It's not no hate space. But we're being honest with the women that this ain't looking good. You are walking yourself off of a cliff. And let's say, black men, in the moment you fall off the cliff, we felt something like, man, I can't let her fall to her death, to her doom. You might be so far gone, we can't even save you. See, a lot of sisters keep on talking like this because they think eventually they're going to wear us down and we're going to save them. Lady, do you understand how crazy the economy is right now? How the wealthy are just snatching up everything, and y'all are encouraging them, by the way. You're not using your moral high ground to fight against this, by the way. Shout out to BLM. You're using your position in this society, as artificial as it is, to get down with these people's program. So, when the ish hit the fan and you fall off that cliff, you're going to be too far gone. And you're going to weigh too much. And it's going to be way too difficult. That bungee cord is not going to be able to hold up both of us. And there's not going to be enough people on the other end to slowly pull us back up. Y'all are not thinking about these things. All y'all know is black men ain't ish. All right? Right? GC, I agree. GC says some of them shouldn't be saved. I agree. Let me put it so all y'all can hear. So that FD, if you ever listen to it, so you can hear some of these women shouldn't be saved. They're too far gone. Lexus Exodus shouldn't be saved, bro. Paris Milan shouldn't be saved. Cynthia G shouldn't be saved. Mahogany Pink, wherever she is in academia, shouldn't be saved. Their rhetoric is too incendiary, is the word I'll use. They should not be saved. As a matter of fact, a part of me want to put my foot in any one of you guys' rear end that would try to save them. Other women got to see them fall off the cliff to their death. Not that we pushed them off the cliff. I want to be very clear. Other women got to see them suffer the consequences of their words so they can know better. Right? Spainman said, but I love her, man. I love her. Alexa, play Project Pat. Don't save her, please. Play the beginning part. Play the intro before the song comes on. Right? You know? And going back to Stacey Abrams. Look, man, like, hey, Stacey, you sounded like Margaret Sanger out here. You sound like the Eugenics Society. Like I said, if you remove yourself from American history and from Western history over the past 2 centuries, she has a point. Especially in this day and age that we're living in, if you remove the sentimentality, if you remove religion and God, and you just look at cold, hard reality, she has a point. You don't got the money. You have how many different forms of birth control, both men and women? For men, it's what, like 2, right? Maybe you might want to refrain from having children. But when we put everything back in the pot, yeah, nah, bro. This sounds like radical feminism, and this sounds like eugenics talk, right? That's what it sounds like. Charles Faulkner. What's going on, Charles? I want to have a millennial panel. I just thought about that. Nameless, me, Kareen, Toya, Charles, AB, PK, goddamn, Ed. And I guess we could switch out some people in and out as people drop. People could come in. And we could just talk about our lives as millennials from around the country. Black millennials from around the country. Things we done seen, we done witnessed. Things that particularly affect us. Because I'm of the mindset, the dot-com bubble, I'm not even going to start in the 90s because most of us obviously weren't of age in the 90s. Duh, millennials, right? But the dot-com, because we came of age with the dot-com bubble in 9/11, the housing recession, right? And then like as we start to climb out the slime of those, then we get hit with the COVID recession and the inflation, the ensuing inflation of that. And so we just keep, and excuse my language, for those of you that got little kids around, cover their ears. And shout out to Toya. I know you don't have this particular genitalia, but we keep on getting punched in the dick. Right? Every time we get back up, we just keep on getting punched in the dick. Like I said, I know Toya and Kareen don't have those particular, they don't have that issue, but yeah. But yeah, Miss Abrams, I don't know, Miss Abrams, I think what makes what Miss Abrams said even more suspect is that she herself, she's not married. She has no kids. That's what makes what you're saying even more suspect. Even more eyebrow raising, right? No. Okay, Toya, I'll try to remember. Roger said no pain, no gain. Good point. Charles Faulkner Jr. says, I'm going to tell you a thing. It's a damn shame that the millennials fought 20-year war against terror and we still don't get any respect. Facts. Facts. Right? That, to me, that's what makes Stacey in particular. You're not married, you have no children. And from little bit of rumors that I'm hearing is that you were advised. Look at Kamala. Perfect. Look at Kamala. Kamala knew better. Kamala wasn't married. Kamala just got married a few years ago. Kamala Harris knew better. And yeah, she still don't got kids, but she got her husband kids. She knew better. Right? And from my understanding, give me a second, Charles. From my understanding, little murmurings that I'm hearing is that you were advised, hey, go hurry up, go marry some man. Maybe y'all don't have no kids yet, but go marry some man. I was told, rumor in the rumor mill and the Democratic Party is that you were advised to at least get married. Preferably to a man with kids so at least you could have the ready-made family. And you decided not to. And now you're saying things like this on wax, on TV? Hey, and not, bro, like, who are these politicians? Because Stacey's not dumb. This is not a dumb woman. Yo, do y'all realize what we're saying? We're saying that women, educated, sometimes Ivy League, sometimes second tier, school, these are educated, not dumb. These are like smart women. Not only are they not educated, but they're like fairly intelligent outside of, obviously, when it comes to being in a relationship with men, right? In like this one supremely human thing, connecting with the opposite sex, having children, being in an intimate relationship with the opposite sex. This is the one thing they can't get right. How weird is that? And then in Stacey's case, and in Professor Crunk's case, what's her real name again? God damn, I forgot her real name. Right? They make all type of excuses around why they're in the situation they're in, or why they find themselves in this particular kind of, For Professor Crunk out here blaming white supremacy for her diet. And there is an argument to be made about that. Once again, these people are not, when they say these things, they're not 100% wrong. But what animates, I'm using your word, nameless, what animates their sentiment on this thing is coming from a weird place. It's coming from a disingenuous place. Right? Like Professor Crunk, you've been on long enough where you could have been lost that weight. You could have been you know how many black trainers, shout out to my brother Rogish out of Texas. You know how many black trainers would love to be the one to be like, I'm the one who got her to lose how many pounds. That's all me. She lost 100 and something pounds, 200 pounds. That's all me. You know how many black trainers would love to be the ones bragging on that? You've been on too long. Just admit you don't want to lose the weight. Same thing with Stacey. Just admit you're willing to lose this election because you don't want to have the optics and you don't want to do the correct things right by black men. So you're gaslighting black men and you're essentially gaslighting the Democratic Party. Stacey, you could have been married. Like I said, Kamala Harris did it. She was out here living her life, doing whatever she do, locking niggas up in California. But when it came down time to potentially make a presidential run, she married some rich white dude. Right? Shout out to the lead attorney. You could be in a marriage of convenience, Stacey. Or maybe some other rumors in the rumor mill, Stacey might be in the closet. And she know if she come out that closet holding another woman's hand, people in Georgia are less likely to vote for her, and that includes black people. That's a possibility. Right? That's a possibility. Right? Let me see. Oh, we got Kareen in here too. Shout out to you, Kareen. Kareen says, if she loses, she is stupid. Need to lose weight too. And add some hair extensions and get her better clothes and makeup. What is up with these politics? Like, this is so... Kareen, maybe we need to be advising these people. Me, you, and Charles. Right? We need to be like the millennial advice squad because it's so simple. It hurt how simple it is. These people are losing elections over the like optics. Having nice clothes should be the eat. Get nice clothes. You got donors. Get nice clothes. Lose some weight. Go get your teeth whitened. Go meet some. Go. We can line up. We can do speed dating. Line some dudes up. Hey, I'm married. I own this. I've been doing that. Okay, cool. Could you see yourself married with Stacy and holding her hand in public? Yeah, sure. All right, you're on the short list. Bro, we could have had you married within 6 months, bro. Had you losing weight, had you, like Kareem said, hair extensions. We could have had you transformed from 4 years ago. And that doesn't mean you would have won, but far more likely to win your gubernatorial race. It's not that hard. We're not even talking about the policy yet or appealing to black men yet. And as a matter of fact, that would be one small way of appealing to black men is being married to a black man and showing that, oh, you seen Stacey? Yeah, she lost a whole lot of weight from 4 years ago. Oh, is she making her rounds and she's actually saying things like I said in a previous video. Stacey Abrams has home field advantage as a black woman in Georgia. As a black woman in Georgia, you got home field advantage. And you're possibly going to lose to Kemp because you just not doing the things that you should do. You're refusing to do the things. Jeez. It really is that easy. AB said, Brittany the hurt, I mean Cooper. Yeah, thank you, AB. Brittany Cooper. Don't be telling us about all of this. White supremacy is the reason for the nutrition thing. You have a point. By the way, she has a point. I will remind y'all of the Nestle CEO that got caught pretty much saying water is not a right or clean water is not a right. I'm not gonna lie, I was appalled when I heard that. Low-key has a point, but these people y'all realize that these CEOs are like being recorded saying the most insane things about human rights and the most insane things about wealth. Like, eventually they're going to come out and be like, yeah, roll poor people over with cars. Eventually they're going to say something insane. One of them is going to be caught saying something insane like that. I think the Exxon Mobil CEO said black people like dark jelly beans. They stick to the bottom. Nobody want to use them or eat them. Like, yo, like these people be getting caught saying the most outlandish things. The most insane things, bro. So Brittany Cooper does have a point about, nutrition and white supremacy kind of being the reason for, like, heavy set people, well, really heavy set people. But let's say Stacey Abrams was absolutely right. Absolutely right. Let's say she was absolutely right. We're not going to talk about her lack of willpower and not eating these things. We're not going to talk about that. Right? I'm going to do her solid. Let's say she's absolutely right. Stacey, I said Stacey. Sorry, Stacey. Stacey also, but Miss Cooper, Professor Cooper, Dr. Cooper, you've been on so long, you're famous enough that there are personal trainers off a GP just for bragging rights that will train you. There are surgeons. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to do that for free, but that might give you a discount for some, evasive, liposuction or whatever, and then personal trainers that will help you keep that weight off. Just say you don't want to. Say you want a man to take you as you are. And just keep it moving. You don't gotta lie to kick it, Craig. It's like some of the most simple things in the world. Maybe because I grew up in South Florida and like my Haitian descent, and like we understand like the looks of things and being fuego, right? We understand swag and aesthetics, right? And how much these things matter. So yes, like, tangibles, yes. Right? But also the way things look and present also does matter. And so Many of you politicians, you female politicians, you women politicians, black ones in particular, like y'all fought against all the stereotypes, right? Okay, you're not a baby mama. You have education. You're not a welfare queen. But then you weigh how much? And you're single. And then when we line you up with the governor of Arkansas, the lady governor that had her finger in Obama's face, and we line you up with what's her name, that was education secretary, right? And then we even line you up with Kamala, light-skinned mixed black woman, and it's all these little petite or almost petite mixed light-skinned black women or white women. You got Nikki Haley out of the Carolinas, Indian women, and then you have the heavy-set black woman. Single. Come on, man. If y'all gonna fight against the stereotypes, fight against them all the way. And stop trying to shame black men from not telling y'all what I just said. Because you know it's right. It's like y'all don't realize that they're mocking y'all. Come on. You know what? Anyway, to Miss Stacey Abrams and to Miss Brittany Cooper, y'all are too damn grown and have too much access to be blaming your weight. And I'm not saying Stacey Abrams did this, but to be blaming your weight on white supremacy. I'm not saying you have a point. You don't have a point. But that point is mute because of your access. That point is mute. And for Miss Abrams, you could have been married. You could have been lost the weight. You could have been making your rounds with black men instead of doing it last second. Making sure you had that black male vote tucked away. You should have been doing that since 2020. Well, yeah, right? 2016 or 2018. Sorry, 2018. You could have, once you lost the election to Kemp, you should have been doing that. That should have, right? You could have flipped this all around in the past 4 years. All right. Even if you're LGBTQ, there was a way to spin it. There's a way to spin it. I'm not saying you would win, especially in Georgia, a freaking southern state, right? And the Bible Belt go right through Georgia. All the air quotes Christians in Georgia, black Christians in particular. I'm not saying you would win, but there's a way to even spin that. But you just gonna be out here single? I don't know. Whoever your advisor is this person should have been fired forever ago. Whoever your advisor is. God forbid it's a black woman. You're horrible. Where did you get your degree from? Jeez. The nameless protagonist says, I avoid watching. Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, right? The nameless protagonist says, I avoid watching mainstream content for the most part, right? Yeah, it's just... GC said, blaming the Trump presidency for her weight was absolutely horrendous. I didn't even realize she did that. If she did do that, I didn't even realize she did that part. Maybe I was like halfway asleep when I heard that segment with her, speaking about her weight. And I remember being like, what? Look, I'm a black man born and raised in America. Y'all hear Mr. Z talk. I'm blackity black. But there's certain things, man, like you can't, like that. And then even the way you frame it, if you're going to talk about white supremacy in this way, the way you frame it got to come off like genuine. And like Stacey, it did not come off genuine. It came off as excuses. And like I said, you're like known enough and you have enough access where like this should not be a thing for you. Karine said with all the money she has, why can't she lose the weight and fix up herself? I just think these people, they think, you know what it is to me? Rest in peace, Kevin. It reminds me of like some of the brothers that thought, I got my money together, I'm a solid dude, I'm stable or even above stable, but I'm not gonna invest in clothes because I think it's a waste of money and time. I'm not gonna invest in the way I present. I'm not gonna invest in like, bro, I can tell y'all, and that's like I told you, I used to be a dandy, low key, kind of still am. Um, but because of what I do for a living right now, you just don't get to see that on a daily basis. But excuse me. But I think it's similar to the people that think like, but I have policy ideas and like I'm a great politician. And that politician is horrible, so I shouldn't have to invest in these other things, the aesthetics of it all, the optics of it all, right? I shouldn't have to invest in these things because I'm a better candidate than that person. First of all, that remains to be seen. That's debatable. But even if you are, these things matter. Do we have to remind people of the Nixon JFK debate? Right? For those of you that don't know, the people that listened to the debate on the radio said that Nixon won. The people that watched it said that JFK won because Nixon, being a man's man, refused to put on makeup, and the camera lights were blazing him, and he was sweating, and he didn't, he looked a little sickly. JFK, once again, Massachusetts, son of a mob boss, put on the makeup. Plus, he was a better looking dude. Guess what that means? In the eyes of the people that watched the debate on TV, he came out better. How could we study history and then, like, how you studying history and not learning from it? Come on, Stacey. I'm not even in Georgia. I'm giving you tips. I'm a nobody. Jeez, you're about to lose this whole election because it's like you're half-ass trying. I don't know. To all the people that say like this is a setup, Stacey's just there to kind of show that we still got the black vote she's supposed to lose anyway. The more and more I listen, like, you know what, I don't want to put on a tinfoil hat, but the more and more I see what's going on, it kind of look like that for real. Kareen said, all the gay dudes in Atlanta, she can't find one of them to fix up her hair and her makeup. Come on. Exactly. Toya and Kareen having a girl moment. Toya said, girl. Y'all having a hair salon moment right now. Man, but I mean, like, while we bullshit, like, for real, what Kareen said is absolutely true. Like, bruh, Kemp about to watch, and by the way, Kemp is doing the right things. I told y'all these Republicans smell blood in the water when it comes to black men. Democrats, y'all about to feel this pain. And y'all so BS, and y'all got people like me voting down ballot. I done did it twice already. So no, I ain't gonna vote for the neo-Nazis in the right. I just won't vote for you. Or I'll take the advice of Dr. Thunder and the Brother Raj report and vote third party, depending on what I see, what they're advocating for. I just won't vote for you. Oh well. Charles says, let's tell the real story. What man really wants to get married to those effers? And I do mean effers. All in the what is it? Bovine PS. My last 3 comments. Well, they're not showing up on this one. Maybe they'll show up on the other one. Give me a second, Charles. Let me click something because I read when you said that earlier and I didn't see anything. But Charles, somebody would marry Stacey. Stacey, Professor Crunk, Brittany Cooper, that's a whole different story. Yeah. It's not just the weight. It's just everything about her is just meh, right? But somebody will marry, and even though Stacey looked like she weighed more than Professor Crunk, and I think people will still marry Stacey over her, right? The problem is either she's in the closet and she doesn't want to come out because of her political aspirations, and nobody really knows how to spin her sexuality in Georgia, right? Or she's borderline Oprah, but then at least we knew Oprah had Stedman, even though she didn't get married, right? I think somebody would marry Stacey, especially if like I said, we did the whole, let's say it was, like I said, me, you, Karine, and we're like, okay, we need to get you, we need to get you right. You lost the election by the skin of your teeth in 2018. Let's get you right. We got you on the weight loss program. And speed dating time. Let's find all the singles, look up wanted ads, all the singles, black men, especially maybe one with 1 or 2 kids, so we could get her with the ready-made family. Black men that's moving and shaking in Georgia. Hey, what you think about Stacey Abrams? Hey, what you think about Stacey Abrams? Hey, what you think about Stacey Abrams? The people that say, you know what? She could afford to lose a couple pounds. Okay, you're on the short list. We could have had her right. Whoever her campaign people are trash. Dumpster. Right? And I'm not saying they're that as human beings. I'm saying this, I don't know how y'all advising Stacey right now. Horrible. Cartel says she could even rent a guy. I'm saying, shout out to the lead attorney. Y'all could have the marriage of convenience. Hey, stay married to me for the next 15 years, right? I'm gonna run for this. If I win, you stay married for the 4 years. If I run again and win, you stay married for the 8 years, and then maybe we give it 2 or 3 years afterwards, maybe 5 years afterwards, and then you know I file for divorce or whatever, and here's your severance package or whatever. Your severance package is being the former husband of the governor of Georgia, whatever, right? Better Use says he met her before. She doesn't give off heavy, I'll say Pike vibes. She's actually pretty pleasant to talk to. You see? So if you're not that, if Stacey's not in the closet, Miss Abrams, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like you're going back to the tinfoil hat. It's like you're really trying to lose this election, though. I'm just saying. Karine says, marry your old man. Yep, Cartel. Like, that's what we saying. She could be in a paid relationship just for optics. You realize you got black men in the black manosphere who don't even align with your politics still trying to look out right now? Why do we still be having a soft spot for these sisters that don't be wanting to do anything for us and sometimes be in the way and sometimes actually be sabotaging us? Toya said if she pop up in a relationship with Cory Booker, we know what's up. That's too on the nose, Toya. They wouldn't do that because that's too on the nose. Oh, that's too on the nose. That's way too obvious. That. Yeah, nobody will believe it. That's too obvious. Good point, Spainman. Spainman says, I'd almost speculate that the point is for black women to win without the need to have a black man, specifically black man. Oh, to have a man, specifically black man. I agree. I couldn't put the words together. I agree. That is yes. Yep. Cartel says, no black man, just not voting for her, Mr. Z. I'm from Georgia. She has no agenda for black men. And there you go. You have no agenda for black men, Miss Abrams, and you can't even get the optics right? Yeah, it ain't looking good. T. Riddler, good point. Maybe the single strong black woman image was her marketing ploy. Well, then deal with the consequences of it not working for black men, or at least enough black men in Georgia to gain you the governor mansion. Right. True. Yeah. Val Demings. Good point. Good point. Yeah. 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 I still need to watch the debate between her and what's his name. Right. Karine says, look at Val Demings in Florida, Mr. Z. She married to a beautiful black man. I think he was an officer. Yeah, I think so too. I think so. Okay, let me see if I could finally see Charles' comments. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't see that. Let me read Better You. Better You said Stacey's biggest problem is she didn't put the same effort into her ground game as last time. People don't feel heard and had for and haven't for 4 years. I think you're trying to say hadn't for 4 years to think on her. So in other words, she's thinking she's starting from where she left off 4 years ago. She took for granted how much the political landscape and maybe even the social landscape has changed over the past 4 years. That's what I'm hearing. You could tell me if I'm wrong, Better You. That's what I'm hearing. She took for granted. She thought, okay, I lost the election 4 years ago by the skin of my teeth. So I'm gonna run again pretty much the same way with the slightest of slight modifications, mainly shaming black men to come out in bigger numbers for me. And that'll gain me the governor mansion. And clearly not. Clearly not. The Roger report said someone would marry her for a check if she would become a reasonable choice. She's too lazy to even be reasonable choice. Yo, Raj be saying the simplest but most G and honest stuff ever. Let me finish the statement. Her goal is to win just to say she is. Yeah, I didn't watch the debate, but or I didn't watch. It was something somebody was telling me where essentially that was she was speaking to what athlete was that? And essentially her whole thing was like, but for me to be the first black woman governor, and I'm like, that's you. Y'all are stuck in like the 80s and 90s when like black people would support y'all just so you could be the first. Let me say this to all the politicians and even corporate people, but mainly the black politicians. We're no longer in the era of the first. Right? You don't just get us to support you because you're the first whatever anymore. It doesn't work anymore. We have seen too many of the first not do anything for black people, and the only thing you really got, the only thing we could brag about is, oh yeah, that was the first black president, or that was the first black this, or that was the first black that. We're no longer in that era. That era died in 2016. When Obama got on that plane and left, or that helicopter, that was the end of that. It's done. We are no longer in the era of first. That's shattered. It's done. And you cannot put it back together again. He didn't just cost y'all, what, 1,000 seats, Democratic seats. I'll just say that. I ain't going to say, well, I just said his name. Obama didn't just cost y'all 1,000 seats across the country. It's more than that. Even the way black people think about politics has fundamentally changed. Now it's a slow grind, and it's a little wayward sometimes. But yeah, you're not pre-2016 anymore. So the first female black governor, yeah, nope, nobody's trying to hear that. Especially not black men. Oh, Cam Newton, yeah. So she was speaking to Cam Newton. Okay, yes. Thank you, Charles. Oliver the Gray, yes. Yes, Obama messed that up. It's done. It's done. It's done. And Roger's right. Like, bro, So, Raj, you realize we just gave this lady, like, the path. We gave her the path. And it's so simple. Like, bro, we're people off the internet telling you what the way. And you're so lazy, and you took us for granted so much. And like now it's too late because we're in October. The election's in a month. Not even a full-on month. Right? Let me see if I can find Charles' comment. Give me 1 second, Charles. Let me see if I can find. Wait a minute. Oh, I didn't know, realize. F Holiday, what's going on, bro? I'm not gonna read your comment, F Holiday. I'm not gonna read your comment. I'll just say something about fusion dance. I'm not gonna read that out loud. It's fucked up. It's funny though. Genetic or not, she should do the work. 325? She's 325, Charles? Whoa. Wow. Wow. Oh, damn, Charles, you might have to write it again because I went so far up on the next. Because there's two ways to see you guys' comments, and it won't let me see it won't let me scroll too far up the other way. And then the other way, it just didn't show it. I don't know what was going on. YouTube might got a problem. YouTube, I wonder. Here's a question for the content creators in the space right now. Y'all think they really like? I mean, y'all gonna say a resounding yes, but y'all really think they like shadow banning us and whatever, right? It's borderline a rhetorical question because we know the answer, but still put the answer down anyway. Right? Wow. That's crazy. 325. Damn. Karine got a good point. Yo, your image, Pete Buttigieg, the gay one in Biden administration, is married. What the hell is wrong with her? If she lose, she deserve it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Karine again, good point. She is showing us why she does not. I know you mean does not deserve to be governor if she can't do what in her best interest. How will she perform for the people of Georgia? And they're essentially exactly what Raj just said. So Karine and Raj are saying the same thing. Exactly. You too lazy to even help your own self out. What you gonna do for the constituents in Georgia? Okay, let me see. Okay, Charles, let me see. Charles says, when it comes to black feminists and Stacey Abrams, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you either, Batman. And there you go, Miss Abrams. That's essentially what Killer Mike was saying, right? That's what Killer Mike was saying. If you lose, it's not on black men, it's you. Ross said, I told you. She wasn't a reasonable choice. No one is going to believe a straight man wants her right now. I mean, bruh, yeah, hey, it's unfortunate, and so Miss Abrams, going back to that clip, you sounded like a eugenicist or eugenics. You're part of the eugenics society, better yet. There we go. Let me say it like that. And a radical feminist. Like I said, there is a point to be made about what you were saying, but that's not even the angle it seemed like you came from. The optics are Miss Abrams. You just look bad on optics between your weight and your stature, right? And now this news clipping, right? And you let Tariq get a hold of it, so it's a wrap now. It's over now. Tariq got it. It's a done deal, right? So I'll make that point, ending out with the Ostefco point. Ostefco, just call a thing a thing. Stop using euphemisms. You sit isolated. You feel lonely. You're a human being. You're a black woman. You're 38 with no kids and never been married. And you were at a hotel and you saw young families and you saw men that were around your age being husbands and fathers, and you felt lonely. It made you feel a certain way. It made you question your decisions in life. You're a human being. You're supposed to feel that way. It's probably still your fault, but whatever. Right? And then ending out with what I spoke about originally on this video, which is a my question to some of our brothers, um, are our brothers that believe that are entrepreneurs and business owners and believe like money over everything, and they never kind of question some of these things. My question to you is, how bad does it have to be? Like if the top 5% owns everything, and like we're renting from them everything, like we're renting cars from them, we're renting homes from them, we're damn near renting our spouse from them, right? Like how bad does it have to be before y'all are like, okay, we went way too far in a handful of people owning everything and us having to get our sustenance from them? Like when Yanis Varoufakis, the former Greek finance minister, says we're entering the era of a techno-feudalism, right? Where we have lords and serfs, and all the masses of us are serfs, and like these tech giants and the politicians are the lords, and obviously these corporations, these multinational conglomerates are the lords. Um, how bad does it have to be is my question, right? Because when you have these people saying, you essentially saying empathy is a bad thing, and like we're using the algorithm to dehumanize, like not dehumanize, to what's the word I'm looking for, when you like when you lose your humanity, essentially was what I'm saying, right? When you lose your empathy and sympathy for people, right? Yeah. And like I had a couple of points here to say, and I'll close out with these couple of points. Um, we are now using algorithms, or we're now allowing big tech to recreate the injustices and inequalities, excuse me, we fought against decades and centuries ago. Like I said, everything from labor rights laws to civil rights and human rights laws. These battles, we have to continue to fight them. It seems like every couple generations, if not every generation, right? That's what it's showing us. These big tech companies are showing us how callous they can be. They're using technology to be extremely callous, right? And this goes to, for those of you that didn't catch the beginning, during COVID, landlords were working with their people. They were working with them like, you know what? I know it's COVID-19. I know you haven't been to work for a few months. Instead of you paying me the 4,500 after these 3 months, give me 3,000. I'll work with you. I understand. You've been living with me, or you've been living at my home for 3, 4, 5 years. You haven't missed a payment. I understand what's going on. What the algorithm does is it encourages that landlord to say, screw it. I will kick, if I have a apartment complex with 20 residents, I will hike up the price, and yeah, only 7 or 8 of y'all will be here, but you 7 or 8 can afford it, and y'all will pay the rent for the former 20 that used to live in this apartment complex, right? And like that's the crazy part about what's going on now. I'm reminded of you know what, I'm not even going to mention that quote of a I'll say it ambiguous enough. I'm reminded of a founding father's quote about the tree of liberty. I'll just pause right there. Right? I'll just pause right there. Because it ain't looking good. It's not looking good. It really isn't. Right? And I mean, where do we go from here is my question to everybody. Like, these wealthy people, these corporations, these big tech companies are just recreating all the crap all over again that we just got out of a century ago, a century and a half ago, maybe even 70 years ago, 80 years ago, right? And we got to fight this all over again. But, and one thing I'll stress before I close out, they're colluding, right? So we all know antitrust, right? If you're Ford, you can't team up with GM and say, oh, we're gonna block this company from doing business, we're gonna keep our prices similar or at the same, so that people really they only have a choice between the Chevy Camaro and the Mustang, because the Chevy Camaro and the Mustang are like the exact same price, right? That's a legalist crap. But what the other algorithm gets to do is do the same thing, but because these people aren't literally meeting, so this landlord isn't meeting with this landlord from across the street, but the algorithm is keeping the prices similar, which is pretty much the same thing. They get to kind of skate right under the antitrust laws, which is like super illegal. So, you know, the people that were putting these laws together some century and a half ago, 80 years ago, they didn't see this coming. And so maybe these things got to be modified a little bit. Yeah, I saw that. Karine said, you see the British PM just resigned. The lady, yeah, she just resigned. Yep. 2 months. I know it got to be all type of hell because now she's dealing with, air quotes, King Charles, right? Yes, Oliver the Gray. The quote you said, I ain't gonna read it. But yes, that quote. Right? Hey, I'm just saying. Liz Truss, yes, T Riddler. Thank you, brother. 2 months, bro. 2 months. Oh, excuse me. Karine said correction. 6 weeks. Not even 2 months. I wonder what she had to go through. Because what's his name probably left it all type of crazy. And then she has to also reside over Charles presiding. What Boris Johnson probably left it all type of crazy. Right? Yeah. I know it got to be crazy. I know. Then you got to reside over the transition of the monarchy? Yeah. Yeah. Insanity. Well, you guys, I'm going to pause right here and try to run inside before it starts raining really hard. Because guess what it's doing in South Florida? Of course it is. It is raining. Once again, you ain't really in South Florida if it's not raining or hot. Or raining while it's hot. Right? They want Boris Johnson back, Karine? Oh, they want British Trump back? Right? Wow. Okay. All right, everybody, I'm about to close out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for engaging in the conversation. Thanks, everyone, for the super chats. Thank you for the convo. Better You, Oliver the Gray, everybody else. Yeah, this was a great convo. I'm gonna do these random mishmashes. It's easier to do it on my phone. I wish I could find a way to bring y'all up on my phone. I think I can. I'm gonna speak to a couple of the brothers and we'll figure it out, and hopefully they can help me so we can have these conversations instead of me using the laptop all the time when I want to have these lives with people. And I'll end out with the great brother, the Roger Report. I'll end out with his comment, and it says, I thought the reason people were told they didn't have to pay rent was to disrupt the success of certain landlords, so they would never, oh God, I pressed the wrong thing, would never challenge people at another level of success. That, you know what? Like I said, every once in a while, the brother Roger hit you upside the head with something to think about. Yeah. Yeah. That's that know your place and stay in your place type stuff, yeah? Yep. And with that, I'm gonna pause right here, you guys. Once again, thank you, ladies and gents, for listening into Mr. Z's channel. And I am going to call it a day so I could go hurry up and go eat something and maybe, lay down for a little bit before work tonight. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nameless, for being here. Thank you, everybody else, for being in here. Raj for being in here. Karine, Toya, everybody that was in here. Charles, like I said, everybody. Cartel. God damn, I'm going through names now. I gotta make sure I list everyone. F Holiday. I still can't read your comment out loud. I can't read it out loud. It's just funny though. RJ Williams, thank you for being here. AB. Yeah, man. T Riddler. Let me make sure I didn't see anybody. Telescope, GC, right? The 18th letter, thank you for being here, brother. Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, Oliver the Gray, like I already said, Oliver the Gray. Yeah. All right. Longo, thank you for being here. And I will pause right there. The Roger Report, obviously, with the final comment. Okay, Raj. All right. I'll call you in a little bit because I'm about to go try to knock out. But yeah. All right, y'all. I will pause right here, truly. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Great convo, great comments. Kareen was flaming. Toya was flaming, right? The sisters was out here acting a fool too, right? And I'll pause right here. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out.